I think more than anything, getting to actually do the things that you've always wanted to do as a kid
Yeah.
is like a surreal experience. And I feel like I live that every single day, especially as a model. Going to stores and seeing my face is like, I can't explain what that does for my inner child.
Right.
It just makes me want to like jump up and down and like
Of course.
cry happy tears.
Of course.
It's a beautiful feeling. And I'm really grateful that my family and my community have supported me so much, because I know so many Indian people who want nothing more than to pursue the avenues that I'm pursuing, or any other avenues that they've always been dying to pursue that don't have that support, and so aren't able to do it with joy.
Yeah.
You know, there's always this anxiety about it. And like, I wish I could just tell everyone that they should go for it.
Of course.
You know, if I could say anything, it would be that.
Just go for it.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
Because if you fail, like failing is the most beautiful thing. Rejection and failing have been so good for me, you know, and I get rejected 1,000 times every day without me even knowing it, you know,
Right.
because my agents are constantly submitting me.
Of course.
And I will get an audition out of one of 1,000 submissions,
Of course.
right? I don't know what it looks like, but I know that I am being rejected every day. And knowing that that's okay makes me so fearless.
Welcome to the arrambam show.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Glad to have you. It's all serendipitous how this came about,
Yes,
right?
for sure.
Because we met literally at this point. Was it last week?
It was last week, yeah.
It was last week. On Monday.
Yes, on Monday.
Shruti's Mom Mother class.
Shruti, shout out Shruti, we love you.
Yeah. Bringing the community together in multiple ways
Exactly.
for the Mom Mother class, which was a crazy class.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Right. And I remember it was like we were in the back because there was a few boys.
Yeah.
There was probably, by the way,
6 or 7 though, which is a lot.
Yeah. Right. But it was a Mom Mother, so we had to show up
You
for
had
Rodgers.
to.
Yeah, we had to show up. And I remember I was in the back of the workshop with specifically Hari and Surya, 2 other friends. And we were like, okay, there are some really good dancers here. And we pointed out a few. You were amongst one of them. And we were like, yo, like we need to learn how to dance like that. and then Shruti pulled you up, and then I forget who the other person was. And you guys did like a final bit, and it was just like piece and set for like the last group dances.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was a mad vibe.
Oh, thank you. It was honestly such a blast. And to be honest, that was my first like real Krita class. Like I've never really learned choreography in that art form.
Yeah.
But because I watched so much like Mas is what they call it in Telugu, like living in Hyderabad for that long, like just the amount of Mas dancing that I witnessed, it like when you're a dancer, it like kind of settles in your brain and your body. And so when you get the chance to do it, it just like all comes out at once.
Of course.
It was so fun.
And you see it's like you see the movie, and then it's like, and the songs and the dances, and you're like, hey, I want to party like that.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I was doing this, right? Like for an hour or two before the class, I was just watching the Mom Mother on repeat. I was like, I need to do what Raghava Lawrence does. Oh my God, that was epic.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly insane. It was really fun. And I think, just getting to do that for 2 hours made my whole week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be hopefully another version of like a part 2 of the Mom Mother workshop that Shruti does. And we will definitely be there. But and so since then, right, like we got connected at the workshop. You like posted something.
So I sent out a little message in like the New York City Desi dance group being like, would anyone be interested in learning Bharatanatyam choreography, like pure Bharatanatyam, and like coming together and practicing and learning together? Because I've been learning Bharatanatyam from my mother since I was like 3 years old. And so I've been performing since I was, a kid. And I've been choreographing since like high school, so it's something that is a very big part of me. And it's something that I'm just yearning to find a community that is excited about that too. And I know there's a lot of semi-classical classes here, but it's all Kathak based, which is beautiful. And I love learning and performing that. But Bharatanatyam is like my art form. It's like, obviously, I don't take ownership of it, but it has taught me so much about how to be. And so finding a community that also loves that, I was just curious to see if anyone would be interested. And immediately, so many people liked that message. A few people reached out to me personally and were like, we want to do this. Tell us when this is possible, which was so exciting.
Right.
And then you were one of the people who liked it. And then I saw arrambam and all these things you guys do. So I was like, wait, we should do this together.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be hopefully another version of like a part 2 of the Mama workshop that Shruti does. And we will definitely be there. But and so since then, right, like we got connected at the workshop. You like posted something about and we will get into what that's going to look like and more details on that. But yes, that's how we got connected. We talked further and then realized there was a lot of overlaps in what you were striving to do with, of course, this idea, right? And everything that we're doing, and we're here now.
I know, right? Exciting.
Which is awesome because also this is a way for me to get to know you better, right? And learn more about your story and background. So I'm excited to dig into it, and we will sneak peek of what is coming, but we will get into it shortly.
Get ready.
Yeah, it'll be part of the process. But let's get started. Who are you? Who is Shreya?
Who am I? Okay, I'm a Leo.
Okay.
I am 5'6". Actually, scratch that. I'm 5'9". I'm a Leo. Born and raised in between Maryland and Bangalore, India. I am Iyengar Tamil. That is my like ethnic identity, I guess. And I am an older daughter in a South Asian household, which is probably my most defining characteristic.
Absolutely.
Because growing up as the oldest daughter in a South Asian household, specifically a South Indian household.
Specifically a Tamil household.
Specifically a Tamil household where your mom is a Bharatanatyam guru.
Absolutely.
Adds a lot of interesting quirks and traits.
Of course.
For sure.
And so you said older daughter. I assume you have siblings?
Yeah, so I have a younger sister, and then I have 2 younger cousins who we all grew up like sisters, all 4 of us. So I basically have 3 younger sisters.
So not just the older daughter, the oldest sister of 4 girls, which is like, I feel like a lot of pressure, a lot of role modeling, everything.
Yeah. Especially like role modeling for sure. But I think from the get, my entire family knew that I wasn't going to follow the cookie cutter path, and that if anyone told me I couldn't do something because of a reason, I would indulge in that reason and prove to them that I can still do it. That is just how my personality's always been. And from a very young age, I knew I was going to be a performer professionally. I didn't know what that looked like, but I always assumed it would be film. And because my mom's a Bharatanatyam guru, they never really questioned it. Or of course, when I was younger, they'd be like, no, you have to be a doctor, or like, no, you have to be a lawyer. Which
is funny because your mom is a Bharatanatyam.
Yeah, but she quit her job at NASA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, she was like, I did my thing, and then.
I became a doctor. Right, okay.
Which is fair, like, genius, power to you, but.
What was harder for her? Building rocket ships at NASA or teaching girls how to dance Bharatanatyam?
100% say teaching girls Bharatanatyam, because you have to deal with kids of all ages. When I take over her job for like a day, I'm exhausted. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yes.
But also she had to deal with like in the early 90s, working at NASA, where all her bosses were older white men. And she was this young girl who had just come in from India. So there's a lot of like misogyny and, microaggressions / macroaggressions going on. So that's always difficult.
And also being an immigrant, which adds to it. Right?
Yeah, it's almost like the first thing people hear,
right?
But I think because of how much she loves her students and how much she loves the art of Bharatanatyam and building that community, I think whatever you care about more will always be the harder job.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Of course.
Not that space isn't important.
Yeah.
We respect you, but, you know.
Yeah, of course. That's incredible. So walk us through that, because there's a lot there to unpack. You just shared effectively your life story in like a short, brief amount of time. But let's start.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot, right? Let's start as when you were a kid in your home. Your mom is a Bharatanatyam guru.
Yeah.
My understanding is everything you've done since then starts from that journey of dance. So
100%.
talk us through that. How was that? What was the inspiration?
So I grew up remembering, going down in the basement and seeing all these girls dancing. And I would just go and follow and do as much as I could. And I remember
even as like a kid, like a baby kid.
As like a toddler.
Toddler.
Like 2 and 3. The first time I ever performed on stage was when I was like 3.5.
Oh, wow.
And I did a slokam.
Okay.
And I was in Murumandi, which is like when you're all the way down. For people who don't know, I'll teach you in our class. But I was in Murumandi and like one of my knees went down. And I remember I will never forget that feeling because I was so embarrassed that I messed up.
Okay.
But like,
as a 3.5-year-old.
Yes. But that kind of like dictated my journey with Bharatanatyam. Like I was always hyper aware of what I wanted to be like as a dancer, how I wanted to perform and what I wanted to do with my art form. And I always worked on myself. I always, like, even as a kid, I remember like we had this local dance competition and I went my first year and I didn't place at all. Okay. And I was like 6, I think, first grade. I was so mad
It's like
at myself.
in a general like dance comp. Or like a Bharatanatyam?
No, it was like a Bharatanatyam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom was a part of a group in the DC metro area called IDEA, Indian Dance Educators Association. And so they had competitions and they had like Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, like a bunch of Manipuri, like a bunch of different art forms. And you would compete within different age groups. And so when I was 6, I didn't win anything. And so right after that competition, it was like a reality check for me. And I was like, okay, I need to get good.
Yeah.
And then next year I won. Like the year after that I won. So it was
when you were 7 or 8.
7, 8, yeah.
Right.
And then I moved to India and then I was just exposed. So my parents moved all of us to India 5th through 7th grade.
Okay.
And living in India, the way you get to, especially Bangalore, is such a huge Bharatanatyam city.
Oh, really? Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And the way that every single week I was going to watch dance performances, going to dance class at least 2 to 3 times or dancing myself, and
your mom was still teaching her or did you go to?
Yeah, she was also teaching there.
Okay.
But at that time I was so lucky. I got to also learn from my mom's guru.
Oh, wow.
So who she learned from in Bangalore.
Incredible.
I was learning from her and I was learning from my mom.
Incredible.
So I would do like 2 to 3 classes a week with my mom and 1 class a week with her guru, Lalita Srinivasan, who is my icon. I love her. And I just realized that there was nothing I cared about in the world as much as I cared about dance and performance. And that extended to Bollywood, to hip hop, to modern, whatever. I was a part of a bunch of different dance classes and most of my extracurricular activities was dance.
That's awesome.
I was obsessed and I just knew that there wasn't, I don't know, it didn't make sense for me to like change my direction because it felt like I was on my path, And I think it still kind of feels that way. I moved back to America and I went to high school here. And when I was in high school, I started a dance company with my friend.
Nice.
And so we were teaching Bollywood.
And you were in high school back in Maryland?
Yes. Okay. Literally like 2 streets away from where I was living before.
Sweet.
So like same district, same school, same friends.
Same
whatever.
friends. Just 2 years later.
Not really same friends.
Okay,
Man,
sure,
you know what I mean? Just like same environment.
Of course.
And I started my own dance company with my friend there. And so we were teaching all kinds of age groups. So I was doing the Bollywood dancing with her. And then I was like performing with my mom. And it was just like nonstop all the time. And I remember junior year of high school, we were like, the college counselor came to us and was like, oh, you need to think about what you want to do. And I went to my parents and I was like, I want to be an actor. And they were like,
and how old were you at that point?
Like 16, 17.
So like junior year, sophomore year, junior year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I want to be an actor.
That's incredible.
And they were like, what are you going to do? Like that.
Like, what does that
What
mean?
does that mean?
Right.
Like, what, you're gonna move to India and move to LA? Like, what do you do? Like, we don't even understand.
Yeah.
And I would actually, like, when I was in elementary school, I would force my dad to film me reading out scenes from Hannah Montana.
Oh, wow.
And I would beg him to submit it to agencies, but obviously he had no idea how that worked. And also my parents didn't really want that for me. They wanted me to, they would always say, like, you need to graduate school first. And like, it started off as high school, then it was college or whatever.
Yeah.
So they really were like, okay, we know you've always wanted to do this. Let's do it the right way. So my aunt, who was in grad school for arts administration at the time, was like, these are the greatest schools you can go to be an actor.
Oh, wow.
And
in America?
In America.
Okay.
And my mom was like, if you go to school for acting and you graduate and you do well, then the world is your oyster. But you're not graduating high school and then just like trying to become an actor. Right. That's not what we're going to do.
It's not like you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also not we're forcing you to get another degree and then you have to figure out acting on your own. If you want to be an actor, go to school for acting.
Right.
Which was one of the biggest blessings they could have ever given me, because going to school for theater changed my life and my artistry, and also helped strengthen my relationship with Bharatanatyam. It was a beautiful experience. I was lucky enough to get a really nice scholarship to go to Boston Conservatory / Berklee College of Music, which let my parents not stress as much, and also gave me motivation that, like, yeah, I really can do this. Like, they want to invest in me to go there. That means, I must be some kind of good. Right. And
you don't have to fight battles at home per se.
Exactly.
To, like,
it's not like,
make
oh,
this
we're
happen.
spending this much money. Like, why haven't you gotten your first job yet? It was never that. It was always like, you're killing it. Go for it.
Of course.
And going to school for theater, I was the only Indian person.
Okay.
In my entire
What
institution.
year were you at Berklee?
I graduated 2019.
2019. Okay.
And there was like one grad student who was like half Indian, but I didn't really interact with her. And then no staff, no one else.
Nobody Indian.
No, there was a lot of Indian people at Berklee, but at BOCO, Boston Conservatory, none. And so I was basically the poster child for Indianness there. But if they needed any question about anything, I was the one that they went to.
Right.
But that also made me need to strengthen my relationship with my own identity so much.
As who you are and what you represent to the world.
Exactly. Like, I can't just go around and, say what I think. I have to really know, because I am informing, which is really unfortunate that was my burden. That should not have been my burden. Yeah. But I'm informing a bunch of people that have no exposure to my culture as like a single source.
That's incredible that there wasn't any other Indians.
Yeah, there wasn't.
That's incredible. Okay.
It was honestly really isolating.
Okay.
But I was lucky enough that I had professors and my ensemble members, aka the people in my year who were with me, were so open and welcoming and wanted more than anything but for me to they wanted me to bring myself to this space as I am wholly. And
they weren't trying to fit you into a mold. It was like, let's create a new mold for who you are.
Exactly.
To let you shine.
Yeah. And obviously I've had crazy people tell me crazy things,
of course.
as we all do in America. I've had students' mothers come up to me at orientation weekend and be like, oh, I'm surprised you have an American accent.
And they assumed you were from India.
I was just straight from India. Or one of my teachers, while we're doing a Chekhov scene, being like, can you be less Indian when you do this?
What does that mean?
That's the question.
Okay.
What does that mean? I don't understand, right? And so things like this, I obviously had to deal with, but because of the amount of support I had, I could honestly laugh them off and embrace what the stories I wanted to tell and how I wanted to tell them. And I really thank all of my successes thus far to going to Boston Conservatory and committing myself to my art form. It changed my life.
Yeah.
And then after that, wow, there's so much. Okay. So
there's a lot to unpack. I know. I'm excited because I'm excited to hear about this and share with everyone. But
okay. So right after that, I assistant directed Bijoy Nambiar, Malayalam director, but he directs Hindi, Tamil, all kinds of films. I assistant directed and acted in his movie Fish. So I was doing pre-production in Bombay, and then I was filming the film in the UK all over. And right when I came back to India from the UK, I went to Hyderabad to shoot my first series there.
Nice.
And then I ended up staying in Hyderabad on and off for 3 years, on and off because of the pandemic. I would come back to Maryland every time there
So
was
this
a
was
lockdown.
after graduation.
Yes.
Okay.
Anytime there was a lockdown or anything, I would come back to Maryland. But living in Hyderabad and working there for like almost 3 years was an incredible experience. I think from going to an institution where you're the only Indian person to then being submerged in India.
Right, of course.
Was everything I needed for myself and my identity and my artistic expression, you know? As much as I love doing Shakespeare and Chekhov and all these, like, I want to speak in my languages.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to emote the way my people naturally do. Because when I'm learning acting here, I'm learning acting for scripts here. I'm learning how to be an American actor. And American acting and Indian acting are very different things.
Of course.
There are a lot of, you know, little micro expressions and hand gestures and ways that Indian people interact, nonverbal communication that's so strong. And American people have that too, but it's just completely different. And being able to indulge in that side of my identity through these different characters, and also having a really freeing moment where I don't need to exist just to tell you about my people. I exist because I'm just a person, and I just exist. You know, going to India and auditioning for all Indian roles where these people are inherently Indian because they live in India is so different from auditioning for something where you're the only Indian character and like you're there to teach other people.
Indian, right?
Yeah, even if it's not as explicit as, you know, some of those earlier on TV shows. No matter what, we're always like teaching someone about Diwali or Ganesha or something, you know, that. Sometimes it's really nice to indulge in the idea that you already know these things about me. You know, I think the burden as a person of color, specifically in the artistic realm in America, is you have to justify why you're doing what you're doing, and you have to inform people about where you're coming from for them to understand or feel like your content is approachable. And it can get exhausting, you know? And so to be in a world where film, first of all, Hyderabad is the most film fanatic city in the world. They are obsessed with film, and it's such a beautiful energy to live in. And to have like a billion movies being made at the same time, you know, and all kinds of stories, all kinds of characters. And getting to like indulge in that is so beautiful, but then it also comes with its own roadblocks. For example, the kind of roles that are available to women, you know, what you're seen as, how people address you, you know, versus your male counterpart. It is a whole different ballgame. I will say I'm really grateful I'm getting to experience both sides of the coin. I think as an actor, this is what I've always wanted to do. I wanted to work all over India and all over America. And like, I would love to do a French movie. Like, you know, I would love to be an actor in all kinds of different situations and in different communities. So I'm really lucky I've had this experience. And I think more than anything, getting to actually do the things that you've always wanted to do as a kid is like a surreal experience. And I feel like I live that every single day, especially as a model. Going to stores and seeing my face is like, I can't explain what that does for my inner child. It just makes me want to like jump up and down and like cry happy tears. It's a beautiful feeling. And I'm really grateful that my family and my community have supported me so much, because I know so many Indian people who want nothing more than to pursue the avenues that I'm pursuing, or any other avenues that they've always been dying to pursue that don't have that support, and so aren't able to do it with joy. You know, there's always this anxiety about it. And like, I wish I could just tell everyone that they should go for it. You know, if I could say anything, it would be that.
Just go for it.
It's so worth it. Because if you fail, like failing is the most beautiful thing. rejection and failing have been so good for me, you know, and I get rejected 1,000 times every day without me even knowing it, you know,
Right.
because my agents are constantly submitting me.
Of course.
And I will get an audition out of one of 1,000 submissions.
Of course.
Right? I don't know what it looks like, but I know that I am being rejected every day. And knowing that that's okay makes me so fearless.
Right. Because at that point, you can do whatever you want. Because what's the worst that's going to happen?
They
You
say
get
no.
rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Like,
Right.
you're still standing. You have more to give. And your capacity, like, I feel that anxiety that stops us from doing what we want because we're scared of what the other person is going to say, like, denies us of our true ambition and passion. And it's like, if we just follow that, that will always be with us, and it will go stronger and bigger, and we will force ourselves to be the best version of ourselves possible, and we will achieve what we're seeking. 100% I believe that,
Right.
you know? And I think all my experiences, like, obviously I gave you a shortcut version, but like, all my experiences compounded into bringing me here today. Like, I moved back from India after I finished shooting Month of Madhu.
Of course.
And moved back to America.
Yeah.
I said India, right?
You said India.
I moved back to America after shooting Month of Madhu because I wanted that movie to speak for me as an artist, especially in India.
Yeah.
And I was ready to start planting seeds here again. And so I got signed to my modeling agency before I even moved back, and I came back for my first modeling job.
Nice.
And so I've been working full time.
And when was that?
February 9th, 2022.
Oh, wow. So it's been 2 years now.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Oh, it's been an amazing experience. So I've been a full-time model and actor here.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah. So you've had a few different inflection points.
Yes.
We definitely need to dig into.
Please.
So, well, the first one I did want to ask about is starting with like high school.
Yeah.
Right. You made that decision to, hey, I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
What inspired that?
I just knew.
You just knew. Okay.
Ever since I watched my first movie in the theaters, which was Devdas, I knew that that was what I needed to do with my life.
Yeah, of course.
It was inexplainable. And truthfully, no one ever planted that seed in me. I had just always had like my theater teachers in middle school or high school be like, you need to do this. And me be like, yeah, I know.
I'm down.
You know?
Yeah, right.
And like when it came to Bharatanatyam, Abhinaya, which is the emotive aspect of it, always came so instinctively to me. And I loved like growing it and bringing layers to it and making it complex at like the age of 14 and 15,
Right.
you know? And that told me more than I needed to know. And I think it was just always what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor.
Want to be an actor.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Next inflection point is post-college. Why India? Like, I know
Why
we're
India?
Indian and
Okay.
we watched Indian movies, but why
Truthfully-
did you go back?
Truthfully, I went where the money was.
Okay.
I just graduated with a bachelor's in fine arts in contemporary theater.
Fair.
Okay?
Right.
There was no way I was going to say no to any opportunity that brought me job security and money, right? Especially not the opportunity to be on a real Bollywood set,
That's incredible.
you know, and
Right.
be in it and assistant direct and be a part of the process. And I just, you know, even now, I go where the work is.
course.
I'm here in New York because this is where I'm getting most of my work, and
Right.
it just makes sense for me to be here.
Yeah, of course.
And so I went where the job was, and then that's why I went to Hyderabad because there was a job there.
There was
And
a
that's
job
why
there.
I stayed because there was work, and that's why I came back because there was work. You know, I just think the easiest way for me to keep my sanity is to not fight the current that life is taking me in.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
You know,
of course.
if it was something I actually, you know, didn't want to do or wasn't interested in, of course I would respect my own boundaries, but it was the most exciting phone call I'd ever received.
That's incredible. You applied or they reached out to you? How did that
Bijoy
work?
reached out. So I actually assisted Bijoy briefly my senior year, my semester abroad. I went to India.
Okay.
I was studying Bharatanatyam full time, and I had finished my items that I was learning, and I went to Bombay for a month and a half to assistant direct on this like small short film he was making.
Nice.
And so that's when he invited me after I graduated. And
He was like, yo,
serendipity.
I need you back.
No, it was basically like, what are you doing? do you figure out if you need a visa for the UK?
Right.
I'm shooting a film. I have a role for you and I need you as an 80. I was like, yes.
Yes, down.
Yes, whatever you say. So
both ways, right?
Exactly.
You get to act and you get the experience on the direction side.
Exactly. And
Yes.
I've always wanted to be a director. I write a lot of my own projects, and I've never produced anything I've written yet. That is to come. But going to school for contemporary theater, we learned everything from playwriting to set design to costume to everything. You know, we went through everything. So it just made a lot of sense to me. And because my theater training was so theater based, I was really excited to be on a film set and understand what that's like, you know, full fledged.
Because you hadn't done that before that.
Yeah. I mean, I did it briefly with
the short. Yeah, of course.
But I didn't actually get to experience like that
full set. Right.
So when I was on set for my series, I just knew exactly what to do. You know, it made my experience so easy, which is why I always tell aspiring actors, if you can assistant direct, you're doing yourself a favor.
Incredible. Nice.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Because as I dig into the stories of like, especially a lot of the newer established actors and actresses, many of them come from a directing background.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting. I never thought about it, but
casting.
Or casting,
because
right.
Directing and casting are the two places where you really understand what you need from an actor. And if you know from the other side what they need from you, you are able to deliver that so much easier. At least that's my personal experience.
That's incredible. And it looks like it'll help you as you create your own creations one day. So
yes,
that's exciting.
I hope so. Yeah.
Nice.
For sure.
Okay, so then that's incredible, right? That's that next inflection point.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the next inflection point after that is when you moved to Hyderabad and then ended up on Month of Madhu, right?
The big ticket.
The big ticket item, which I had the privilege of watching a few days ago.
That. I really
Incredible
appreciate
movie.
it. Oh, thank you.
And it's just an amazing cast of just excellent actresses and actors in general. I mean,
they're all brilliant.
Right. And the other Madhu in the movie is the IPS from Digger Than the Double, which again brings back the connection
to Mama Madhu,
right? Yeah. I remember distinctly on the call where you were like, I had to come out for this because my co-actor was in this movie. And I was like, yo, like, okay.
Yeah, no, and he's the best. Like, I have such a good relationship with everyone in that film, but especially Naveen, he really represents the kind of male actor that I think India needs more, because he truly, like, I didn't have to walk on eggshells. He's so experienced. He's been in so many things. He's worked with the greatest of the greats, you know, and I did not have to feel for 1 second like I am lesser than, like I am a newcomer, like I don't know what I'm talking about. He was, since the first day, we were like this, you know, in lockstep.
Yeah, of course. And you guys had the same name too.
Exactly. That's why we were twins.
Right.
But we have this really pure bond. It's almost like familial in a way. Yeah. And it's like, I would say father-daughter if he wasn't so young. I think more like older brother, sister kind of vibes.
Of course.
But yeah, he's the best. His wife is the best. His baby is the best. And Swati, oh my God, don't even get me started.
That's the next. Well, I know her because she is the beautiful actress in the song that I listen to all the time, $1 billion, right? I don't even remember the movie at this point, but it's just like that song. Oh my God.
Her expressions in that video, oh my God.
She killed it in this movie too. I mean, incredible. Right.
She's amazing and she's so inspirational. And we didn't share one scene together in the movie. Spoiler.
Oh, really?
You guys should watch it.
Yeah.
Spoiler. But
I actually didn't think about that.
We weren't in one scene together, but we were on set together the whole time. And we really, really bonded. I could trust her with anything. And she, again, has been famous since she was 16 years old, you know? So she could have easily been like, I've been around for way too long. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Yeah. But instead she was like, teach me whatever you know. I'm going to teach you whatever I know. We're going to be in this together and we're going to, like, you know, love life. Yeah. And it was a beautiful experience, truthfully. Awesome. And to learn from them, watch them do what they do and get to interact with them in that kind of space I couldn't have asked for a greater opportunity.
That's
truly.
incredible. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, you moved to Hyderabad,
Yes.
right? Where, like you said, wherever you moved, that's because the work was there.
Yeah.
How did this come about? How did Mantamuru, and why did you choose to do this?
So have you heard of the streaming platform AHA?
Of course.
So I went to Hyderabad when AHA wasn't even launched yet. It wasn't even
okay.
For one of the first web series AHA was doing. And I was on set for that. There was like different things going on with production or whatever, but there was like a little cut of some of the stuff we had shot. And that was sent to my director. And also, Shrikant Nagoti, and also Ravikant Peripu, who, from Krishna's Leelas and Sharnam and recently Bubblegum. And so they saw it and they saw me and they were like, who is this girl? We want to talk to her. So I had a meeting with them and they basically were like, tell me what it's like to be an American girl in India. You know what I mean? And would ask me like hypothetical situations. Like if you were this and this, what would it be like? And so we had a lot of sessions that way where we just like talked about, identity politics, being neither here nor there, and what that's like. And eventually they were like, okay, we have a script and we want to do this. Pandemic hits, a bunch of stuff happens. I do the show Parampara on Hotstar, Hulu, Disney Plus with Naveen.
Okay.
Naveen and I meet on that set and I play his younger sister in that.
Oh, okay.
So we
definitely not father and daughter. It's definitely older brother.
But in Month of Mando, it's way
it's a way different.
Way different. Of course, it's not as sibling. It's more like
you're like creep questioning him, being like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, but it's like only in a way a daughter can do to a father. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Which is a different dynamic. Right. But in Parampara, we were brother and sister, and so we had this rapport, and we were like, okay, we would be great together in this movie. And they already had Naveen in mind for the other Madhu.
Right.
And so eventually pandemic stops. One thing after the other happens. Parampara comes out. Parampara actually came out when we were shooting for Month of Madhu on set, which was really cool. Okay. And we saw like this big poster in Vizag it was really cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, one thing at a time. And I think everyone has this assumption that people blow up overnight, but that's not true. There's so many things that compound and happen that are invisible or that you see and you don't really think about that all lead to the thing that you're like, holy shit.
Like what is happening?
Sorry for my French. But yeah, I think
this is a fully explicit podcast, so don't worry.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I'm more relaxed now.
Now you're more relaxed.
Oh, but no, I really like Month of Madhu was just an amalgamation of all of the things I'd experienced in Hyderabad to that time. And I think it is my favorite work that I've done in Telugu for sure. And yeah, I'm really grateful that it worked out.
Yeah.
But I just, we started workshopping, we filmed, and then it came out. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's interesting that the director and the editor, right? When they came to you, they were like, hey, tell us about your experiences being an American girl, living in India. And I mean, not to spoil the movie, but that is the role that you play.
Yeah.
So how did that feel? Like going through that experience?
So it honestly felt really interesting because yes, if you look at it on paper, Madhu and I are both born and raised in America and we have Indian parents and we go to India and have family there.
Yeah.
But I have a completely different experience than Madhu.
Sure.
I've never been confused about my identity.
And who you are.
And who I am. I've never had struggle with my parents. Like, my parents were very clear. They knew they were raising a kid in America. They did not want me to grow up as if I was in India in America. They wanted me to have parties. They wanted me to like
embrace
friends.
That culture.
Yeah, go on dates. They were okay with everything because they wanted it to be a safe space and they wanted me to feel normal, and that allowed me to not only feel normal in my Americanness, but feel super normal in my Indianness because I had such a great space to explore that. Literally my basement, the Bharatanatyam dance class, all our dinner parties, our Indian community, we know what that's like,
Of course.
And so to have a full expression of both identities is like the complete opposite of what Madhu's going through.
Yeah.
You know? So it was really interesting to tap into an experience I truly didn't understand.
Sure.
Obviously, there are some objective things. Like you can see in the trailer, she says, India, no, like everyone thinks I'm American. In America, everyone thinks I'm Indian.
For sure.
That is true.
Totally true.
We all relate to that.
Of course.
You know, we know when we're in line at the grocery store, we have to start speaking for people to not look at us weird because we have an American accent, just like you know.
Yeah.
There are different things that we have to deal with that we know how other people see us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me as Shreya, as an individual, I've never really cared what other people see. Like I would go to high school with bindis and kurtas on, like college. I
embrace
would,
it.
Yeah. Dupattas were my scarves every day, still are. You know what I mean? Like I've never really cared about how anyone sees me because I knew who I was so much. And I would
you
always
lived it day in and day out.
Exactly. And I would always like joke that I was Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
Like
you had two lives.
Yeah, American by day, Bharatanatyam dancer by night. Like that was my life, you know? And so
and now Indian actress in the middle.
Exactly. Right. And then model on fashion
on the side. Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like a bunch of different things. And I've really enjoyed that duality.
Okay.
But I think for Madhu, it's the most challenging thing for her because she needs to define who she is to everyone. She doesn't feel like herself if everyone else doesn't agree.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a really interesting character to portray. And it also is like youth in a way.
Of course.
It's what growing up is like and being able to step back into those shoes in a completely different environment and like act with Manjula Gattamaneni, like Mahesh Babu's sister as my mom is crazy. Crazy.
Because she just
carries daughter is
she
wild.
just carries so much presence.
Yeah,
when she walked in the room.
Traditional, like she just carries that like traditional. This is how things have to be energy so well. She puts it on.
And that's what her role was.
Yeah.
It was just perfect.
But that's not who she is as a person.
Oh, wow.
She is the coolest person ever.
That's
like,
awesome.
Super chill, super cool.
Right.
But the way she can play that is super.
She knows it.
Fun.
She knows it.
Yeah, she knows what that's like. So it was just really cool to get to step into those shoes and discover that, you know, all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my favorite thing about being an actor. It's so boring to play someone who's you. You know?
Yeah.
What do you get out of that?
Right.
You know, getting to play someone who has different feelings and intrusive thoughts and anxieties, like that's what brings something out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's super interesting to say, right? Because from your comparison of like the difference between who you are as Shreya and then who you portrayed through Madhu, right? I feel like I've always been strong in my identity, right? But I had to discover that over time as well. But I think there's a lot of people who still are figuring that out, right? Like I never lived in India, but I had the privilege of every summer my parents would take us back, right?
Yeah.
And we'd go and experience different parts of India, specifically Tamil Nadu, of course, but all the parts. So it's like I had that sense and it just reinforced. But I think it's like, okay, you, in some regard, represent like in a good extreme of like, okay, you know who you are, you're living it. And then it's like Madhu is figuring that out, which I think is a true experience for most American born or Canada born or non-Indian, Western world born children, especially, I mean, Maryland. And I think I mentioned this. I was born in Maryland, spent a lot of time, but grew up in Seattle. So the communities were similar in that they were still like, they were strong, but they were very small growing up. And I assume that's the same for you, but now they're big.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, like we didn't see examples growing up of like what it meant to be American born Indian here in America.
And that's also why it was so important for me to like give this role as much honesty as possible, because the amount of messages of people, not just the kids or the people who experience this, but their parents,
of course,
reaching out to me being like, I understand my kids so much more now, because watching Madhu.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have told me that their uncles and their aunts after watching Madhu are like, this improved my relationship with my child.
That's incredible.
Because now I understand what they need to feel normal, you know? And that is what it's all about for me. And that's why I'm a model. That's why I'm a curve model. That's why I do what I do, because I want people like me, whether you look like me or not, to understand that you're not alone, and like your story will be told in the most honest and genuine and beautiful way possible, no matter what, as long as I have the ability.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's my goal in life.
That's incredible.
I'll never forget. I was at a random bar in New York, and these two Indian girls come up to me.
No way.
And they're like, "Wait, are you the girl from Ulta?"
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They recognized my face in
That's
Ulta.
awesome. Yeah.
And came up to me at a bar to ask me if that was me.
That was you. That's incredible.
And like another thing happened. I went to Sid Sriram's concert. Sid, one of the best artists.
Of course. The one in Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting outside with my friend, and this random person comes up to me and is like, "Are you Shreya from Month of Madhu?
That's incredible.
Can I take a photo?" And it was just like a moment where I'm like, I'm in Brooklyn, New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
How does anyone know?
Did you find, and was that person Telugu? I assume they watched the movie.
Yeah, they watched the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were Telugu or not, but they were just like raving about how much they loved the movie, and they like narrated my rolling paper dialogue.
Oh, right.
And it was just a fun moment to see that, like, I think it's beautiful to do huge commercial blockbusters. I think you get what you get out of it, and you're successful, right?
Of course.
But I think doing a movie like Month of Madhu made me realize how important movies like this are, because the amount of personal messages, and not just, "Hey, you were great, loved that." Like, obviously we got those, but paragraphs, analyses, essays, like, people loved this movie, and not because they agreed with it or whatever, but because they saw themselves, or they saw the person they knew, or they saw everyone all at once. And they felt like that kind of reflection of life allowed them to have conversations with people in their life, allowed them to, open up more or be more introspective and respect themselves more. And I feel like that's the power of art. We truly have the power to influence, specifically South Indian cinema. South Indian cinema is the leading cinema in India right now. We make the most money, make the most films. And with that kind of influence, you have a power to do something good with it.
Yep.
And whether you hated the movie or you loved the movie, I know for a fact you saw something that made you think.
Of course.
And that, like, I'm inspired by Bertolt Brecht. Like, it's not just about the spectacle. Like, I want you to think about your everyday life when you leave this. Because that kind of art is what influences change of thought. It's what influences growth, community growth, activism. We can keep going. Like,
of course.
And that's what I love about being an artist. Like, I'm actively affecting people's minds and hearts with my skills and my gifts.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah. I think with the honestly, like, very meaningful movie like that, there is a lot of influence to be had.
Yeah.
Right. So in a similar way, like, a movie that is meaningful is this movie called Indian Sweets and Spices. So you haven't seen it yet?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. Definitely have to watch it. A lot of notable actors who come through in other variety of areas, but the mom and dad is Manisha Koirala, right? Incredible. So and it was a message, and it was in a similar way. It was a story about Indian families, and specifically it followed the story of a daughter in a household here in America.
Oh, lovely.
Right. And in the suburbs of America, which is, again, it's like, those are the stories that we lived through.
Yeah.
Right. Us, our friends, male and female children growing up. It's not just India, right? Because the South Asian continent is a lot, right? And it's all the shared stories that we have across all those different nationalities and cultures, but it was all very similar.
Yeah.
Right. And I think until you watch a story like Manta Madhu's Indian Sweets and Spices and any other stories like this, I think we know it, and we now older can reflect on, okay, what these, let's say, learnings meant, what these experiences meant, But in many cases, interesting for you to know of like, oh, uncles and aunties reached out saying, hey, I understand my child better watching this. It's like in many cases, our parents also, when they came here, they're figuring out what it meant to be like an immigrant in America, to be American, for their children to be American, not Indian.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And it's like, they also are like, oh my God, this is eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
Of like the experiences you're facing and the realities you're dealing with inside the house and outside the house.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's also one thing, like, we all talk about generational trauma and there's no invalidating that. That's all obviously a thing. And there are certain dynamics in Indian households that like should be questioned, I say. But one thing that I have realized in my journey is that I need to cut my parents so much slack.
Of course.
They got married to people they barely knew.
Of course.
At the ages of 21 and 24.
Wow.
Moved to a brand new country right after that, with like
no friends,
no friends,
community, no parents around,
nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And they had to like
figure things out.
Exactly.
Right.
And they had to have kids and more kids. You know what I mean? It was like, I could never imagine having to have those experiences. And the fact that my parents want so much more for me.
Of course.
And they want to be able to, you know, like break those curses. They want to be able to talk to me about everything.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be open with each other, and they want to support me in my unconventional path. And like, I walked for Adore Me Fashion Week. Adore Me is a huge lingerie brand bought by Victoria's Secret. And I was basically in my undies on the runway, right?
Of course.
And this was my second season doing this.
Yeah.
And when I told my parents I booked it again, both my parents were like, yeah, like, we're so happy. Like, that's amazing. You look amazing. Like, whatever, you know? My parents will never, you know, shame me for following a path or doing what feels right, because they respect my decisions. And the only reason they respect my decisions was because they were so open and allowed me to be real with them that we just like know each other really well.
Right.
And I feel like that I'm really lucky in that way. I don't know if a lot of people feel like they have that relationship with their parents, but I feel like that's the next step for us as a community.
Of course.
To like give our parents slack and for them to give us slack and to like meet in the middle.
Of course.
And understand how we're really not that different.
I would say, as I've been reflecting on this, right, that there will be a step change for the next generation because we will be parents.
100%.
Right. I think to that point of what you said, it's like give our parents some slack. It's a double-edged sword in some regard, because it's like, it's not to say what they did weren't mistakes in some regard, or like, not to say mistakes. That's a very grave word to say.
But everyone makes mistakes.
But everyone makes it. Right. And so, but they didn't know any better. So they weren't, I think the reality is they weren't intending for it to, let's say something had a negative consequence. They weren't intending for it to have a negative consequence. So you need to like see it for what it is, which is that they were learning and figuring it out as they were going.
For sure. But this is also something that me and my sister have worked with our parents a lot. Okay. It's like, yes, you didn't intend it.
Yeah.
But the impact has been made.
Yes.
So just like I am seeing that you didn't intend it.
Agreed.
I need you to see what this impact is.
Exactly.
And then we've really met in the middle.
Right.
Because we already carry so much burden. Like, we have access to so much more mental health support,
of course,
psychology speak, et cetera, than any other generation before us, solely because of the internet and our access to it. And also just the years that we live in, you know, and
the culture being open, like us in the community,
forcing
next generation
our culture to be open to it.
Right.
And like, we are already doing a lot of the brunt work. And I think if you can have an honest conversation with your parents and you can get them to acknowledge it, you will feel better.
That's true.
That's how I feel, my personal experience.
So I completely agree with that, right? It's like realizing they didn't attend it, but I think a lot of the dissonance comes from what you're saying, just them not accepting the consequence of their action.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this is behavior that's likely learned from the community culture, which is their parents and the older individuals around them when they grew up, which is they would just push it under the rug.
But that's also why, like, obviously not everyone has this relationship with their pati and tata, and not everyone has a pati and tata. So it's different. But for me, like, it started with my pati and tata.
Yeah.
It started with getting them used to what my life is. Like, I would get ready and go out, and I would be in my little 2015 booty shorts. You know what I mean?
Right.
My
Were they living with you growing up?
They would come and go every few summers, you know, and I would go to India too. And because I had friends in India, when I would go to India, I would go out to bars with them and stuff, you know? And so my grandparents...
Just like you did in Month of Mother.
Exactly.
Not to spoil.
I didn't go to any bar in Month of Mother. What are you talking about? The entire movie takes place in a jail. Okay. But
in your imagination.
In my imagination.
Right,
No.
yeah.
But no, she, like, both my grandma and my grandpa have been kind of forced by me to, like, be open-minded.
Yeah.
And so, like, they can't give my parents any shit.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it really is a generational, like, you really have to break it one generation at a time.
Right.
And I don't blame anyone if they don't have the energy to do that, because there is a lot of energy involved in doing that, emotional, mental, what have you. And I do not say, like, you know, you need to do this no matter who you are. If you can, great. I think it'll help you. But if not, like, you have tools to, like, as sad as it is, like, be your own parent.
Of course.
You know?
Of course.
And sometimes we have to resort to that. But I think that's what, like, adulthood is also. You know, I think there's also a little bit of you need to figure it out on your own. And you need to, like, forgive them without, like, if they're not going to give you that validation.
Forgive them without forgetting, though.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to keep stepping into the same cycles and
course.
hurting yourself. Like, if you know your mom is not helpful when you're talking about work troubles, if you know that you're having trouble with your boss, but every time you call your mom, she's like, well, why did you do this? Why didn't you do this? You didn't do this then. I know you're like this. You know, if that's what she receives you with every time, and you've already vocalized, hey, mom, when I come to you, I just want you to be like, yeah, that's so annoying. Your boss is a douche or whatever.
Right.
And she can't do that. Stop calling her about that.
Of course.
You know, it ultimately, like, the power's in your hands. And even though it sucks, I know we can all be there for ourselves.
Right.
And chosen community is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'm so happy you're doing something like arrambam. That's why we have these dance classes. Like, people who understand you so specifically, being able to be there for you is, like, the recipe to sanity, I think.
Yeah.
That's how I'm saying.
Right.
To be honest.
Because we can help each other, because we've had that shared experiences. We've come through, quote unquote, the struggles together.
Yes.
Right. In different ways. And then we're now building our own lives.
Yeah.
Our own meaning of culture, community, what it means. Right. And it still means different things for different people. But I think that's a piece of the puzzle that's key.
Yeah. And I think because we understand each other's situations so much, like, we know what we want to hear.
Of course.
We know how we want to be shown up for. And, like, we know how to listen in a way that we haven't been listened to, you know? So we're able to, like, give in a very unique way that I think is really beautiful. Yeah. And I love those relationships in my life.
Yeah. And that's why we're doing also this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the goal always was, with arrambam, can we build a modern third space for the Tamil community? But really, it was build community.
Yeah.
Right. Events were just a manifestation of how you build community. The dance workshops were as well. All the other events we've done, as many of you probably know, but I think it's like with the podcast and other things, it's like, okay, can we share the stories of creators like yourself who are trailblazing the way? Because we can now, through that.
That's sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's true, right? Because it's like, we can start to share stories like Month of Madhu, right, out to the world that are relevant to us, that mean a lot to us and the people around us here. And it's not just movies, right? Yeah. Stories are through movies, but stories are also through dance, music, right? People, artwork, and different things. And like, people will see it on the show, but it's also food and everything else that is culture,
food
right?
Is so important.
But it's like, it comes out through that. And so I appreciate you doing that.
Of course.
Through Month of Madhu. And Yeah, I think there's a lot here.
Yeah, I feel really lucky that I got, because this is what I've always wanted to do.
Of course.
And I think it's really serendipitous that I'm allowed to do it. But I also think that, like, as I said earlier, like, if you want to do something, you just got to do it.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's just
the way
where I'm standing.
Right. I have to ask one last, well, actually, this is the second to last question about Madhu, but one, and this is about the story, because I texted this to you as soon as I finished the movie, which was, yo, it just ended.
Yeah.
Right? I was just like, the ending, okay, I can't spoil it.
No, you can't spoil it. It's like the most important part.
It's the most important part. It just ended.
It's, on the surface,
What's your
you
take?
feel like it's abrupt.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, it makes the most sense, and it's also so cathartic that it ended that way.
Right.
Because let's be honest with ourselves, in most Indian film history, a story like that wouldn't have ended like that.
Yeah, of course not.
You know, we know what the predictable ending would have been.
Yeah.
And I resent that.
Yes.
You know, I really do.
Yes.
Everything that was presented to you, if it ended that way, what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point?
The way it ended, it may not be the end to Madhu and Lekha's journey.
Right.
But it gave both of them so much. It gave them so much to go from.
Yeah.
They were stuck. They were stuck in this toxic cycle. They didn't know where to go. They were tortured.
Right.
And one simple gesture not only freed them from that, you know, place of stagnance, but it also opened up so many opportunities for them
to do something. Yeah.
To also understand how they feel. They weren't allowed to really feel what they were feeling, because the other emotions that were stronger, like anger or distraction or, you know, needing to live your daily life, were getting in the way. But the moment that happened, you could see in Lekha's eyes, you can see in Madhu's eyes, they're telling each other how they feel.
Yeah. They didn't say anything. That's so true, because you're like, okay, not spoiling. I mean, at this point, if you haven't,
what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like,
exactly.
If you haven't watched it yet, like, pause it.
Yeah.
Skip forward. I'll put it in the notes or something, like where you skip forward to when we get to the next topic, right? Spoiler alert. Well, let's talk about it, right? Like, okay, so your arc ended with reunification with your mother, which there was a lot of dissonance, right? Which I think is like really powerful, because it's like there are forms of that dissonance with both mom and dad that come about, and that those reunification moments are just moments of truth on both sides. So that's,
I also think personally for me as an actor, when I approached Madhu, her ending is not just reunification with her mother, but like coming of age, in every way of the term.
Of course,
you know,
of course,
she experienced everything that she was seeking to experience. And, you know, maybe some things turned out exactly how she wanted and some didn't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, she got to finally express what her real problem was. And the one person in the world that could validate her and put her to rest gave her that, you know? And I think,
because that's not in a bad way. That's what she may have been seeking all along.
Time.
And if that was there, maybe she didn't have to go on that journey.
Exactly. But also, like, if she didn't go on this journey, she wouldn't be the same.
Oh yeah. Also, since spoiler, since you needed since you needed the validation from her mom.
Yeah.
Right. Because her mom wasn't, like, when the cousin said, "Hey, your daughter did this," she didn't say all the other things that she was doing.
Yeah.
She was having issues with, and then she just used it. It felt like, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read that is like, hey, she's going through stuff, so she's like making her cousin look worse.
Yes.
So that she feels better about her situation. Right.
Precisely. And we all have that cousin.
Right. And then the mom didn't do anything, was just like, of course she did this.
Yeah.
Because that's my expectation.
And this is my expectation of her, and she's stupid.
Right.
And like,
and then just came and blew up at mother.
If you think about it, giving a dildo as a wedding gift, spoiler alert, in America is very normal.
Very normal.
It's like the most, It's what you give your girlfriends. You give sex toys.
Well, also, you, like, Madhu came in and was like, yeah, you didn't invite me to your bachelorette. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, it's some heat here.
Bro, she's why didn't you?
Yeah,
like, obviously this girl is jealous of how free Madhu is and why she can't be that way.
She can't be that way, right?
And that is also a thing that I think, like, growing up in India versus growing up in America. Here, we are allowed to be ourselves.
Right.
You know, obviously people have different restrictions, but in India, especially for women, like, unless you're living in like a huge city, you don't really have that same freedom that we do, you know? And I can understand where Bindu comes from. She's seeing this girl who's so much younger than her come in and just like, Bindu, come in and just like
own
live
herself.
her life and be herself. And no one knows like how Madhu really feels, right? But like, because she can exist in that way, it's so threatening to like Bindu's ideal of how a woman should be and how she's been forced to be, that she feels like it's worth condemning.
Of course.
And if you look at it from Mother's perspective, she's like, what the fuck do I even do? Like, I'm just existing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to be your friend. I'm trying to help you out. You don't want my help, that's fine. You know? And her mom took that as an opportunity to be like, you have been torturing me for the past 4 years. And this is, you need to, now, here, you need to stop this.
Yeah. Well, she said, like, fix it, which was, in her opinion, like, stop and be normal. Like, I want you to. But then, in a good way, Mother took that as, like, let me figure myself out.
Yeah.
Which, I would say the foil to Bindu is, what's the name of the yoga teacher?
Oh, yes. I know it. Vasuki.
Yes. And it was like, hey, like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm not pushing it away.
Yes.
Like, the yoga teacher wasn't the most receptive, but over time came along and figured her things out with Madhu, which I think is great.
And also, if you look at it, she takes a very unique approach to life.
Vasuki.
Yeah, she's a widowed woman.
Right.
Who has her own yoga on the beach studio.
Right.
She like works out in a sport bra on the beach in Vizag.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She also like doesn't care about drinking. She has a stock bar in her apartment. Like she's already like the modern woman.
Of course.
You know? And so for her to like make the bridge to connect with Madhu make sense to me.
Of course.
You know? But I also think her own grief is what stops her from being so open right in the beginning. And I think that is also like a beautiful thing.
But it's also because she doesn't know what her identity is now, right? And that was the whole point, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But like Vasuki's grief with her situation.
Yeah.
You know, I think what this movie did was presented people as they are.
Okay.
In a way that like no one exists to make another person look a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one exists to shape the plot a specific way.
Right.
Everyone exists because they happen to be in this space and they're interacting with someone else in this space, which I think is different from a lot of the like hero, heroine, comedian, hero's father, mother, heroine's father, mother, villain, henchman, like
arc, right?
Which I really enjoyed participating in because it was like really stepping into a completely different character and like witnessing this completely different character and like having to be as raw as possible. Also, we got our dialogues for every scene like once. Well, I did. I don't know about any of the other actors, but I got all my dialogues for my scenes like after the camera and the lights and everything was set and after my touch-up was done. I was sitting in my position.
Okay. So you didn't know what you were saying. No, not in a way of like, everything was like in the moment, real to you. Yeah.
So I knew like what the general arc of the story was. So like I could anticipate what the scenes would be like, but the actual words were like fresh.
That's great because it's like, you don't know what to expect going in, but then you're like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
But that just feels so raw and like just pure in the right ways.
And it like forced me to really understand and like embody this character head to toe.
Right.
Because I don't have words to lean on.
That's an interesting approach to the art of creating the movie. And like, can you bring out the real part of the actor who's embodying this character? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a side note, which I don't want to the podcast, but I'm like really into like just like videography, filmmaking, creative. And like there is a future where I'm like, I want to create my own movies too.
You should.
Like, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really, really intrigued by this because I do want to do.
I think there are plus points to both approaches. I think being able to understand the text and know these words so in your bones that you can be so in the moment and not worry about the words are one power. But I think because I do have really quick memorization skills. Yeah. This really helped me because I was able to I was forced to do all my own work. So I knew Madhu like the back of my hand.
Like it was like effectively method acting in some way, right?
Yeah.
But not in a way of like you change yourself, but like you had to embrace her. And then everything was just real situation.
Yeah, there were definitely aspects of method, but I use all kinds of techniques in my acting training. I use movement techniques like Grotowski, Laban, Suzuki, viewpoints. I use a lot of I do a lot of dramaturgy of my character. I try to I make Pinterest boards for what her Pinterest boards would look like.
Right.
Pinterest boards for outfits she would do, hairstyles, makeup, playlists for different phases of her life.
Did you decide all like your outfits and stuff for the movie, or
I was my own stylist? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
we had a stylist, but we collaborated, and I really wanted to. Basically, she needed to look so out of place at all times.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She needed to look like a fish out of water.
Yep.
For it to make sense.
Right.
Because otherwise, I'm just another Indian girl.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I needed her to look like this, like high school.
Yeah.
Like, why
like you could like, it's in the sense of like, if I was at that wedding as a guest, like I could tell you apart from the rest.
Yes.
Right. That was like in a good way. That was the way it was set up.
That was the point.
That was the point. Yeah.
That was the whole point. And I think it worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So, okay. So, and then since we're so on spoilers, right? I think the interesting point is like the other arc of Madhu and what is Swati's name?
Lekha.
Lekha, right? Lekha, Madhu and Lekha, and it's like they didn't end up together, right? But it was beautiful. Like he signed the papers, gave it to her, and he gave the ring back that she asked for.
Yeah.
He went and got it from the pawn shop, which is great. That that arc, again, that just feels so raw and real. Like given that you guys you reunified Madhu and the mother, right? I assumed, okay, there's some reunification happening. That's why he got the ring. And then not saying anything. I was just like on the edge of my seat. And I was like, what is about to happen? Yeah. And he held her hand. I was like, okay, is this a time? What's about to happen? And then the movie just cut and the credits were rolling. And it's like, oh my God. Okay. And then I was reflecting because there is there was more to it than it was not that he was an alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
That the reason it was like so much more than that.
So much more, yeah.
But the movie I compare this to is, I forget the name of the movie right now, but it was a Tamil movie and the main actors were Vikram Prabhu. So Prabhu's son, and then Shraddha Srinath from Krishna's Leela, where she was a marriage counselor. Do you remember this?
Yes, I know exactly. And there was a bunch of different couples.
Right. Two other couples.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But in that, all the couples end up back together.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like, yo.
But that's like
that. But if it wasn't to be an Indian masala movie, which that addressed a lot of topics that normal movies wouldn't. But it was like, hey, it's like pretty popular. Putting together is the way to do it.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing that like Shrikant and all of us are. The entire purpose. Is that reunification. Is like them finally showing mutual respect. Because that's all it is. You can't always reunite with someone.
Well, you reunify to like close the chapter and then move on.
Yeah, but also to show that like, I am done disrespecting you. I am done devaluing your experience and your needs. We respect each other because I finally am finding respect for myself. And it's all about the fact that relationships that are toxic need to not exist. Like, you need to leave. as hard as it is, you need to leave. And
even if both of you are good people, and you came into it with the right mind, if it's just not working, it's not working.
It's not working, and that needs to be okay. And it's not okay. For a lot of people, especially in India, it's not okay yet.
Right.
And to show that that's okay and to romanticize that.
Because that
was the point.
Exactly.
Because that is romantic.
Yeah.
The most romantic thing you can do for yourself is save yourself from a shitty situation.
Of course.
Self-love above all. And Leica says that.
She love says, the quote.
Please listen to me. Don't love anyone more than you love yourself.
Of course. And then the other quote, which is, I'd rather be single and alone than be in a
relationship and alone.
Wow.
It's deep. And I know so many people who relate to that.
Yep, of course.
So yeah, it's powerful.
Yep. A lot more stories to be told in that to dig into the dynamics. I've always thought I'll see if I want to cut this out or not. And we'll see. This is really into me wanting to create stories. It's there's a lot of stories to be told about modern dating amongst Indian or South Asian individuals that are effectively like us. What we're technically considered second generation, right? Or first generation. First generation, because our parents are the immigrants, right? Yeah. First generation, right? And it's there's so many dynamics at play. So many.
So much intergroup incestuous.
That plus it's the dating apps and what does that mean? But then there's modern dating apps and there's shoddy.com. And there's double matrimony and all that.
What is it? Bill Mill?
No, exactly. There's the modern apps, and then there's the modern, just the general apps Hinge. But if you look at any brown boy or any brown girl, not to say all of them, but some of them, you look at their Hinges even, it's oh, this is Bill Mill. In the sense of you're only seeing brown people because you filtered it to only see brown people.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Which is also really interesting to me. I think it's really interesting because I was talking about how confident I feel in my identity.
Yeah.
But that's because I feel really strong about being Indian in India and American in America.
Right.
So when I enter these brown spaces, I do feel a little lost.
Okay.
Because I think my relationship with my Indianness is very different from the people around me.
Yeah.
And I think what they're seeking from the community is very different from what I'm seeking. And I'm finding that balance, and I'm trying to figure out what makes me feel more comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say that these brown communities have been so powerful for so long into giving us a space to get to know each other and be around one another more.
Right.
I think it's time for different identities and different ways of connecting to come forward.
Right.
And have you heard of Kolkata Chai Company?
Of course.
They're Bollywood karaoke night.
Oh, they have Bollywood karaoke nights?
Oh my God. Coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I seek from my Indian friends.
Of course.
I want us to sit and watch music videos and sing together.
Of course.
And that is so accessible, I guess. Yeah. But when you're usually out at a desi party, it's all about people trying to find their next husband.
Of course.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That happens everywhere. Any bar, any club, that's really important.
Yeah.
But I guess for someone like me, where I'm not really seeking that, I'm just seeking friends and
hanging out, community.
Yeah, and to have people to chill with. Also someone who feels, and hate me for saying this all you want, but someone who feels really unattractive in those spaces. I feel really attractive in white spaces and black spaces and non-Indian spaces. And I feel really attractive when I'm in India. But when I come to these brown spaces, I don't know, there's just as there always is, there's always a little bit of colorism, a little bit of fat phobia, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, sprinkle on in the opposite direction of me. So I think moments like that, I'm just oh, maybe no one wants me here, or maybe I don't fit in or whatever. But then I'm if I don't fit in here, where do I fit in?
Of course.
Just got to make it work.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to me to witness people who live in America and only date within their race.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, you want to find someone who understands you on a cultural level, but to be honest, you and I are both Tamil people that have been born and raised, not raised, but born in Maryland and lived in India.
Mhm.
But our specific cultural identities are so different. We can't speak the same language to each other. Or we could try to speak Telugu, but like how many dialects are there?
Yeah.
We don't eat the same food. I know that.
Tamil.
Well, but my Tamil is different from yours.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I can try to speak your Tamil.
Yeah.
But it's going to be awkward for me. I'm going to have to try,
Of course.
So like little things like that, there's already so many cultural things just because of the diverse nature of India and the diverse nature of America. And now that we have these compounded identities, like I feel like sometimes it's nice to try to relate outside of just the brown bubble.
Right.
Because I think just like when I was talking about me, at Boko, it forces you to have a stronger relationship with yourself, and I don't think, if you don't want that, that's your own, like, no hate ever to anyone.
Yeah,
everyone's entitled to their own thing. But I personally really enjoy going on dates and like dating people who aren't Indian because I get to learn about this completely new culture.
Like new cultures, new ways of doing things.
Exactly.
Right.
But I also think there's also this like pressure on marriage that Indian communities have, even here. Yeah. Like so many people that I went to high school with are married now, Indian people, not the non-Indian people. Right. And because of that, I think people are always looking for their husband and they're like, well, it has to be an Indian man because my parents are not going to approve if it's not, you know? So I understand that pressure, but it's always interesting.
But is the thing, like the question that I have there is like, if that's something you want and that's part of your life journey, okay, that's great.
Yes,
but if it's like, if you're doing it for somebody else,
then I'm like, you may be missing out on your soulmate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
or you may not have a soul. You are your own soulmate.
Exactly. And I actually said this in one of the Month of Mother press things. I was like, I believe soulmates, like you can have so many soulmates. Right. Like boyfriends, girlfriends, best friends, family, like yourself. You can have so many soulmates in this world. Anyone who you have a soul tied to can be your soulmate.
And it's different parts of life too. Like you might have somebody who's like professional side, like you're just like, hey, you vibe, or it's like on the music side, or it's like a dance
totally
side, right?
It's not just romantic.
People.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I feel like, in a way, I feel like I have a soul connection to Shruti because every time we dance together, I feel like we're like there
right
together.
there.
We're like right there, and like it's nothing that's spoken. It's not like we hang out a lot or like, but she knows how I appreciate her dancing. I know how she appreciates mine,
and in that moment.
Anytime we get a chance to dance together, I have the time of my life.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like things like that I think should be emphasized more. And I do think that you never know who could be, the person for you. But also, I'm not the kind of person who's like even pressed about marriage. So I guess I'm coming from a completely different place.
All right.
And I think that's also like being in passion.
I mean, it's like you're saying, hey, do what you want. Don't do it because other people are expecting.
Yeah, and don't do it just because you feel like that's the only option for you.
Sure.
Because it's not, and like you can relate to anyone. Like we all have that power as people. And like, it's like don't stifle your choices because you feel like you have to. And I think just like the same thing with career. Like, don't feel like you have to do something when your passion is something else because you can do it. Like I'm living proof that you can do it.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
So yeah.
Nice.
And I will say, this is to the audience. If you guys watch Month of Madhu and you have more questions and you want to do a Q&A, we would be happy to facilitate.
Yes. We have the star here herself. But on that topic, right? And you mentioned that press releases. What I did, right? Because again, on the bad way, we're just getting to know each other, right? And now I know so much more about you through this conversation even. And I was like, okay, I want to learn who Shreya is. So I watched a lot of your press releases and there was a lot of deep topics you were getting into, which again, in a good way, was not what I would have expected out of an Indian press release for an Indian movie. But you're like, I don't know if like, and you can tell me this, right? And I haven't asked you this question yet and we haven't talked about it. So this is like just an open question, right? Is like, it felt like the reporters were leading you down certain paths of questioning, right? But your actors and actresses around you, your co-actors, and then even I think it was the director there at some point, they were like, no, you say what you want to say. Yeah. Speak your truth.
Yeah.
How was that?
I will say one thing. The journalists usually are ruthless. I was really lucky that they weren't that way with me.
Really?
They were actually really sensitive with the ways they said things. Yeah. And I spoke about fat shaming and I spoke about fat phobia in the Indian movie industries in general in a very euphemized manner. But it's not because they asked me. The only question they asked me was, so how do you feel? This is your first movie. That was the question.
Right.
And I was like, honestly, amazing that I can look the way I do and be in the leading cast of a movie here in India.
Of course.
Knowing damn well that I'd never seen someone that looks like me before. Right.
And who was the person who was sitting right next to you during that question? Was that
Harsha?
Was it Harsha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harsha.
Because he kept being like, just speak your truth, which is
Harsha is my dude. I'm obsessed with Harsha. He's the best. He's the funniest, and he's a brilliant actor. And I hope that, he continues to get opportunities where he can really show his acting prowess besides his comedy. We all know his comedy is amazing, but his prowess is brilliant. But yeah, the entire group was like, they know what I stand for. I'm not quiet about how I feel. And so they were like, say your piece. Like, now is your time. And the amount of people who reached out to me after that being like,
yes,
we relate.
Right.
We relate. Yes. Like, this is how we feel. It's crazy that we don't see people who look like us, And I think that really showed me that there's no reason to be afraid or to be I was really politically correct. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to be afraid to speak your truth because you're not the only one. And more often than not, you're just saying something that everyone is thinking. And the moment you say it, it resonates for them because they were already thinking it.
Yeah.
And in the auditorium, not the theater, when we were doing the press release, as I was saying what I was saying, people started clapping.
Oh, really?
And that's why I was like, thank you.
Like, that were the reporters.
Yeah.
People were
just there for the trailer launch.
Awesome.
Started clapping because they were like, yeah. And my character doesn't exist because she is over the size of a 4 or a 0. You know what I mean?
Right.
She doesn't exist because she is a different beauty standard. She exists because she's a real person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is treated that way.
Right.
And I swear that's one of the most cathartic experiences I've had in my life, especially after being literally fat shamed and right now I'm like the biggest I've ever been in my life. When I was in India, I was like anorexic, bulimic, like it was actually kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. And I would just get calls from producers and directors who would sign me on projects and then call me the week leading up to shoot being like, okay, it's lunchtime. What are you eating? Like, oh, what are you planning to eat for dinner? You're going to send me everything you eat every day. Okay, here's my number. Take it. Stuff like that.
Why?
Because they wanted me to lose more weight.
But they signed you already.
Yeah, because they wanted me as an actor.
Because
I'm a good actor.
That's crazy.
And imagine experiencing that every day for almost 3 years.
Insane.
Did
that not drive you crazy?
I was severely mentally ill. Like, I was depressed. I felt like crap about myself. And I almost started rebelling. Like, I started actually eating meals. I started...
You were like, fuck this. I'm not going to listen to them.
Literally. I was like, honestly, fuck you. Like, I get it. Like, this is my dream. I'm lucky to be in this situation, but this is torture.
You're not going to give yourself up for your dream.
And I would always say to them, I was like, if you want a skinny actor, why did you cast me? And they're like, no, we don't want a skinny actor. We want you. And I'm like, but you don't want me. You want a version of me that doesn't exist.
Right.
I remember for a project, I was supposed to be 19 and they were like, okay, like send me a picture of you when you were 19. We want you to look like that. And I sent a picture of me at 19 and I looked bigger than I was at that time. And they were like, okay, we'll just create our own definition of 19.
Okay.
And I was like,
what does that mean?
Make it make sense. And the most freeing experience in the world was to be signed to The Between as a curve model, was to come to America for my first job. Within my first month and a half, I had shot a L'Oreal campaign and a Maybelline campaign.
Yeah. And
as I was with Gigi Hadid and Storm Reid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a moment where I was
nobody was questioning you then.
Only praise.
Yeah.
Only praise.
Of course.
And I think it brought me my power back.
Yeah.
I realized who I was. And like, obviously I still struggle. It's not going to go anywhere. Like, in all my dance videos, I wear really big sweatshirts because I know my dance videos get the most like engagement, but it also gets the most fat shaming from people, even if I'm wearing a big sweatshirt.
That's fucking ridiculous.
But I just understand that at the end of the day, I can't change how people see me. Yeah. That's not my job. But I need to define how I see myself and not let anyone let that falter, you know? And I think that's why I'm really enjoying like being in New York City. Because here, I'm not even considered fat. You know what I mean?
You're just you. You're just Shreya.
But I'm also I'm technically mid-sized here. But in India, they see me like as obese. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being anything, but it's like just the way that they give you unnecessary body dysmorphia
is messed up.
And it's not like any of them are skinny.
Yeah. Like those guys. These guys are probably saying the shit that they're saying are nowhere near a perfect male body art.
No,
in any way, shape, or form.
Not. No, no, it's just like they tortured me, and I don't even think they realized it.
Yeah, because that's what they just do, and everyone accepts
it. So normal the way that people talk about bodies. And I grew up with aunties saying stuff to me, so I almost just took it for the longest time, and I think coming back here and being seen for who I am beyond my body, being so much more than that, getting cool auditions for all kinds of characters here, despite being an Indian woman. You know, it's like anything is possible. And Month of Madhu being my first big movie to come out and like me being myself and people loving me for it. The amount of directors who texted me after being like, don't change yourself. You know, you're perfect the way you are. It's like, that's the point. Like, you got to be your own change.
Because I feel like the creatives, especially those directors who are filming these new independent films, they're thinking like us, like our generation. That's why they're creating stories that resonate with us.
Yes, 100%. And it's also like, it's a money-making business. You know, everyone's worried about not making their money. And I think at the end of the day, the more we start seeing, specifically in India, the more we start seeing women as their own people, outside of their relationship with the men around them, the closer we'll get to like actual representation.
For sure.
On screen.
For sure. That's okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. I think we'll decide if I cut this out or not, and we'll definitely cut out what you want to cut out. But the joke that goes around is that like pre-college, I was like bigger. I've always been bigger, but I was like still very like, I was like tall and like wide, but I was never like big. Like I didn't work out. I played a lot of soccer and sports, but I never post-college worked out a lot and just like put on a lot of muscle. I remember coming back, and it was like in Seattle and like going to the temple and walked in and there's some auntie and I just really don't like this auntie. Just like, and none of my friends all growing up, like there's just like
always
unnecessary, just makes comments just to make comments. And then she was like, wow, like you grew up, like I heard you live in New York now. You're probably eating all the junk food there. Like you look so big. And then I was like, not necessary, unnecessary, but I was like, okay. I was like, and then I didn't say okay, but she said that. I was like, oh, thank you, auntie. You too. Just, I mean, in the bad way. Well, not to say it, not in the bad way of like, she was like, oh, I was like, I took it as a compliment. I was like, thank you. I put on a lot of muscle. I look bigger. I don't fit into any of my shirts from before, but it's like, yeah, sure too. Right? I don't know. It's like, you know, when they say, dude, her face, like, I mean, we're brown, right?
Yeah.
And it's like South Indian temple.
Yeah.
And it's like not in a bad way. It's like, we can't blush. You can't really tell. But like, yo, she went red hot. I was just like, I think my mom was sitting next to me or somebody was sitting next to me. And it was just no words. And my mom knows I'm pretty savage. So she's just like,
good.
It was just like,
I'm sorry. Like, you don't just get to say anything to me because you're older than me. But I'm sorry.
The reason I said that you too is like, it's like, you know how when people, like, ideally it's like a compliment, you know, it's like you're looking good. Like, you look older or something, or it's like, oh, whatever. And it's like, oh, thanks. You too. Like, you too. So it's like, okay, you're going to say this? You too. I don't have to say anything. I'm not gonna.
So sad.
As I say this, I'm not gonna say. I don't remember if she was like whatever, right? If she was eating healthy or not, whatever. But it was not. That was not the point. But it's like, hey, how would you feel if I said you two back to you?
Yeah, because it's not a compliment.
It's not a compliment.
And like, I don't understand why people feel like
I'm not gonna cut this out. Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand the need why people feel like they need to insert their opinions, especially when they're negative opinions. Like. Yeah. You really know nothing about anyone's life. The moment you start commenting about them to them, like, I've been really struggling with acne lately. I've never had this problem in my life before. And like, I've just been really going through it. And finally my skin's like kind of clearing up and I'm working on it. Cool. Yeah, I was randomly at dinner with a friend and all of a sudden she's like, so when did the acne start? And I was like, okay, so we're not friends anymore.
So we're not cutting this out.
Because, like, why would you say that to someone? That's crazy to me.
Right. Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
Clearly, I have a lot of acne on my face.
Yeah. That's insane.
Just be quiet. Yeah. If you're going to say anything, be like, wow, you look like Sai Pallavi or something. Right. I'll be like, thanks. Like, that's sweet. Yeah. Why? Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. People need to stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
This
is your sign.
Yep. Well, I think to that point, that's also a topic we were talking about before, which is better representation of both actors and actresses in South Indian films.
Yes.
I think Sai Pallavi represent that. Right. Others like Aishwarya Rajesh, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
And
there's another Aishwarya too. I forgot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
And then like Shraddha Srinath, right?
I actually met Shraddha Srinath because I went to Krishna's Leela's like private screening before it came out.
Because that came out in 2020. Yeah,
on Netflix. So I went to go see it before all the pandemic stuff happened, and all of them were there, the cast, and I met Shraddha, and I was like, "You are one of my inspirations." Because after watching Vikram Vedha, I was like,
"She's an incredible actress."
Whoa, and she's not only an incredible actress, but like so sweet and so genuine.
Nice.
And she's awesome representation.
And she did the Madhavan movie.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called. It was a remake of Dulquer Salman's original movie.
Oh.
And she was with, Vikram Vedha, but then she acted with Madhavan again. In this beautiful, like very artsy movie. You should watch it. Songs are beautiful. I mean, I think
and she was
incredible.
In Jersey.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
she's amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Amazing.
Even Mrinal Thakur is such a good actress. And
she's the one in Sita Ramam, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That movie is like, I cried watching that. Of course. Well, Shyam Singh Rao, which we will talk about. Yeah. But
Shyam Singh Rao.
Yeah.
I actually watched that movie when I was on set for Madhu Madhu.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. In like a single screen theater.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
That's amazing. That was, that's Sai Pallavi. She kills it.
Yes.
And then Sita Ramam. Holy fuck. Great movies.
Great movies.
I'm excited for what the future holds. For movies and like actors and actresses standing true to, okay, we're going to do movies like this. Act these out. Like what you did, right? Everything like that's just going to move the needle forward. I think in incredible ways.
I hope so.
Yeah. But should we get to the topic?
We're really Yes.
So like when we were talking, you were talking through like what your Bharatanatyam, you've already talked about this, what dancing and Bharatanatyam journey, but like what Bharatanatyam means to you now and like what you're looking and seeking for. But I don't want to lead this. Just take us through it. What is your thoughts here?
About the workshop?
Workshop, like what we can do here.
Okay. So here's my plan. I want to bring all the people who are passionate about Bharatanatyam. And what that means is you've seen a few Bharatanatyam performances and you're like, wow, this is amazing. You've learned Bharatanatyam like when you were like 5 for a year or 2, but never really committed to it and never got back into it, but like have always wanted to try again. Or you've done Bharatanatyam your whole life and you've gone all the way up to your Arangetram and then you just stopped dancing or you joined a dance team that was a little different and then you haven't really done anything since. Or someone who literally practices every day and commits to the art form of Bharatanatyam in their daily life. If you belong to any of these categories, or if you've never heard of Bharatanatyam before, you're watching a video and you're like, wow, this is really cool. If you belong to any of these categories, I welcome you to our space. I have been in a relationship with Bharatanatyam since I was literally born in my mom's womb. And I'm right now a full-time actress and model, but Bharatanatyam is that one art form that connects me to the roots below and to the sky above. It's the thing that tells me like why I'm passionate about storytelling and what is so powerful in being able to tell someone an entire story without any words and just your face and your body. And it's also an incredible muscle building art form. And not just the muscle, every single muscle in your body, but also every single muscle in your face. And I want to create a space where people can learn Bharatanatyam authentically as you would in any Bharatanatyam class, but without that like really intimidating teacher that really scares you and you feel nervous if you didn't practice your lesson and you come back next class. But instead, it's like your bestie that you love hanging out with who also really cares about this and wants you to be the best, but you both really love what you're doing, so you're having the best time. And for people who are professional Bharatanatyam dancers or who have finished the Arangetram and like understand what amalgam is and you know what Bharatanatyam is, a place for you to be really challenged with innovative new choreography that not only challenges you through your nritta, which I think is what we get at with most dance workshops here, aka just the body movements, but also your abhinaya and your storytelling, really understanding how to build a narrative with your face and your body and layer it together in a way that makes you feel like you've been challenged and you've grown as a dancer. And that's my goal. I hope for it to be a forever thing. We'll see how that works. But the open class is just to help people, you know, get ingrained with what we're doing and find a space to fully, you know, whatever stopped you in the past or whatever didn't allow you to join, like, isn't going to stop you now. Money is not going to be the problem. Ability is not going to be the problem because I will make sure there's, you know, things available for every ability level. And like being bored and feeling like you're better than everything going on won't be the problem either. So I feel like it can be really fun. And I know that a lot of you really do want to do something like this. And I want to be able to, you know, make this space happen. And I've been teaching Bharatanatyam since I was literally 12 years old through my mom's dance school. So I promise you, I have the training and the expertise to do it. And I'm not saying I'm the best dancer in the world, but I definitely am a good teacher. And I want to be able to like, you know, experience that and form this community and dance together. And especially most important part, we are aspiring to have a performance at the end. So you understand what it feels like to be on stage and connect with an audience through Bharatanatyam. Your audience won't just be a mirror or a camera, but it'll be live people who are soaking in every single sentence of this story that you were threading together.
Absolutely. That was well said. That was well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. And I think this is going to be incredible because it's something like Bharatanatyam or dance in general.
Yeah.
Right. It's very much a journey that you take together. Right. I think I haven't done Bharatanatyam, but I grew up with it a lot because, one, I did Carnatic singing for about, I think it was 12 years of my life. And my parents were very about the arts.
Yeah.
And my brother, on the other hand, did a lot of dance. He did Carnatic singing too, but he was the one who was into dance. And then my parents wish they had daughters. I know they will say that. My dad will still say that to this day. But to that point, we had a lot of family and family friends who were like quasi daughters to them.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of Bharatanatyam. We'd go to our engagements growing up, and I still go to our engagements with many like family friends or friends. It's just, again, incredible to see. And I've always seen it as like Bharatanatyam is like storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? You're telling and crafting stories, which, yes, you have in some cases, like the Carnatic singers and effectively the background music providing the story.
Yes.
But the real story is told through the facial expressions. And what is the exact term?
Abhinaya.
Abhinaya, right? Of the dancer themselves, right?
Or bhava.
Or bhava, right? And I think in that way, it's like, again, it's like journey that you take through this form of dance that is so complex and so technical, very aspirational, very inspirational, but also it's like what we hope to do with this is, and which is what we've been doing with arrambam, is, okay, we've done events this past year. And again, from a goal of not doing events, but creating community. And one thing we want to continue to do is create community in new ways. And what I mean by that is like, we connect with Tamil culture, just South Indian culture, just broadly the South Asian culture through many forms. So parties and music is one thing and dance is one thing, but also many of these traditional dance forms is another, right? And I think it'll just be an incredible, we will definitely do something special this year. And hopefully this can carry forward into the future as well.
And I will say that, Bharatanatyam is considered a foundational art form, just like ballet, for a very specific reason. It teaches you quality of movement in such a holistic way that if you do learn Bharatanatyam, I guarantee you most styles will be easy to approach. Because that's how I feel. I had a base of Bharatanatyam, and from there I could pick up any style possible because I had an awareness of my body like no other, head to toe, And semi-classical is super fun and I super enjoy it. But getting to really, learn and absorb the traditional art form is such an exciting experience. Like, I wish I could go learn Bharatanatyam all over again. I wonder what that would feel like, and I can't wait to see more people have that experience in front of me. I just think we're all going to have so much fun more than anything,
Yeah. And so this is not like just a Tamil dance workshop. It's not just a Tamil song. It's a Bharatanatyam series we're putting together. What this manifests into is April 3rd is the introductory trial class.
8 to 10 p.m. Ripley Greer, baby.
Let's do it. And that one is a free trial class, right?
Open to all levels. Come in. You'll get a chance to see what the class will be structured like and what's possible for you in the future.
Yes. All levels are welcome.
All levels. Especially you like expert girls. I want to see you there. I want to see us put something cool together. And I love opening this to people who aren't Tamil, people who aren't South Indian, people who aren't Indian, people who aren't Hindu. If you are from anywhere in the world, belong to any religion, any cultural background, and you're interested in moving your body in a new way, please come. This is open to you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to that point, we will post, of course, we're going to post the podcast up. We'll post this as a short. When we do, for those of you who are listening to on the long form, check out the Instagram page and there'll be more details about the class there. For anybody who's watching on Instagram, they'll already know. The details will be right there. But I'm excited. And more to come about what this looks like and what this is.
It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited we did this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's wrap things up.
Yes.
We went through a lot of different topics. I think there definitely is warrants a second time, but it's also maybe if we can get people to watch it, we can do a Q&A and discussion.
Yeah, and then also we can talk about other films. Like I'll watch Indian
Sweets and Spices.
And you can watch Sweet Garam Coffee and we can bridge, the wall between film. Like we can talk about film.
Monthly movie club?
Yes.
That'd be insane.
Monthly movie club. I love that.
That'd be insane.
I love that.
Okay. There's something there. Especially these new independent films.
Yes.
Like we can even throw new throwbacks. Like, what's it called?
Yes.
That. Oh my God. That'd be
incredible.
I'm trying to think about, I forget the name. There's a movie. It's on the back tip of my tongue. Okay, I'll remember it. And of course, new Madhavan Shraddha Srinath movie. That's also incredible movie. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
yes.
ideas are forming on spot.
We can also review some masala movies.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
and also analyze why they're so dangerous.
Yeah, of course. That's true. Okay. A lot here. Also, side note, let me just do a mic check. I keep checking because I want to read it. Okay.
Yeah, it's been green the whole time.
Cool. I just want to make sure.
So am I seeing you on April 3rd? Yes, sir.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That was good. Let's wrap things up.
Okay.
Here.
Say.
But I have a few rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
And I didn't prep you on this. So
let me get a sip of water.
Yes, get a sip of water.
Because, let me see. I need to be prepped for this.
Okay.
I love rapid fire. It's my favorite thing. Okay, I'm so excited. This is my second rapid fire ever.
Nice.
Okay.
Ready?
Do I get a hamper at the end?
Huh?
I'm kidding.
What's that?
Really? Coffee with Karen?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I don't watch Coffee with Karen.
Guys.
I'm very Tamil.
We're
very Tamil.
There are Tamil stars on Coffee with Karen too. We'll get on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. First off, what is your full name?
Shreya Naganavile.
Wow. So why, and this is perfect because my question was going to be, why is your name Shreya Naganavile?
Because my dad, okay, so the last name I'll go at first. My dad is from Bindiganavile, a little village. Well, he's not from the village, but like that's where his ancestry is from, in Karnataka. And so they didn't want us to be binding navel. So they changed it to Navile. And also Navile in Kannada, Navilu means like peacocks. And my mom wants us all to be dancers. And it worked. Naga, because everyone on my mom's side, all the girls, our middle name is Naga. Okay. There's some like puja thing that happened that saved someone. So we're all not, it's some like stuff. Yeah. Anyways, that's why it's Naga.
Okay.
And then Shreya is because my parents had a few names that they were deciding between. And they wrote it down on a piece of paper and presented it to all of their non-Indian colleagues and asked what they could pronounce the easiest.
Okay.
And it was Shreya.
It was Shreya.
So that's why my name is Shreya. And my grandma was like, she's a Shreya. After I came out. So that's why
she saw you and she was like, yeah, I can see it. The aura says Shreya.
It's giving Shreya.
It's giving Shreya. Nice. Okay. And then when you went into acting, right? I think it's my understanding is from other friends I've talked to, like you get to choose what you want to be known as. Why Shreya Nabil?
Because it's the best name ever. No. Also because like I can't be anything else. This is who I am. And like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how many Shreyas there are out there. Yeah. I feel like Shreya Nabile is such a unique name.
Nabile. Sorry, not Nabil. Nabile.
Nabile. Yeah.
Nabile. Let me say it right too.
Yes.
Shreya Nabile.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
And yeah, I just like, it makes more sense to me. I never thought about having a stage name, honestly. Yeah. I couldn't see myself with anything else. You. Yeah.
You are you. Right. Okay. Nice. Okay. Next question is.
Okay.
So staying on the film topic.
Okay.
What is your favorite movie? And it's like evolve. I want to hear the evolution. What was it growing up? What was it when you were going through school? After, once you acted and now, you know? Because I feel like that.
Yeah.
Especially for you, your journey has probably been involving you and your taste.
And it definitely has. So when I was like younger, my favorite movie was Bharatanatyam.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
And Alepayude.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Why not?
And then when I was like in high school and stuff, I like would love all like, I loved Cocktail.
What is
Deepika.
that?
It's a Hindi movie.
Okay.
Deepika Padukone, Saif Ali Khan, and Diana Penty.
Okay.
I loved Cocktail. I loved like edgy stuff like that.
Nice.
And then in college, this is hard. Mahanati.
Yeah, of course.
Duh. And recently, it's not a movie.
Okay.
And it's not Indian.
Okay.
But my favorite show is Glee.
Mm-hmm. Like Glee.
Like Glee.
The OG Glee.
Like Glee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get
I recently started watching it. So I never actually watched it when it was out because I was in India for like the first year that it came out. And then I was back and then everyone was already so into it and I was just like, whatever.
Right.
I started rewatching it like I think a month, 2 months ago. I am obsessed with Glee. It is So brilliant. Oh, also recurring throughout, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. High School to Now, always. I'm a huge fan of weird comedy. Also, I love Delhi Belly. Okay, I have a lot of favorite movies. This is a really hard question.
Yeah.
But usually if it's weird, I like it.
Okay.
I like weird movies. I like really funny weird stuff. And then I like soul crushing, honest, torn films. Like just like make me feel it. You know, like Blue is the Warmest Color, like Call Me by Your Name. You know what I mean? Like, I love that.
Okay. Nice. Okay, I have a follow-up to this.
Okay.
Which is still on the topic. Yeah.
Sorry, a really important film I forgot to mention. Super Deluxe.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
That was my favorite movie for the longest time. And it still is one of my favorites. Okay. So, sorry.
No, you're good. So now the question is, if somebody were to come up to you, non-brown influenced individual, came up to you and was like, hey, I want to get into brown movies. Like watch brown movies.
Oh.
Sorry.
I thought you meant act.
No, I want to.
I was like
get it, like as in like.
Okay.
So yeah. I want to start understanding this, like the movies that start watching, and it's not I won't like a brown movie as a whole. I think you know where I'm going with this question.
I have a gateway movie.
Okay, what is the gateway? And then I'm curious, what are the gateways for the different industry, like Tamil industry, Telugu?
For the Hindi industry, my gateway movie is Honeymoon Travels Private Limited.
Okay.
One of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
Really masterfully done, and indulges in all like the Bollywoody stuff while also being real life enough for them to not feel super alienated by the grandeur. Yeah. For Tamil, I'm always like, watch Kanathu Muthunattar. Like, what are you doing? Right. Like, watch that movie. Okay. It also gives you so much cultural context for like the war and stuff that is still so prevalent today. And like,
of course,
the acting is so good. Yeah. It's just so good. It's a brilliant. Maniratnam's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I would also probably recommend like Nanam Rowdy or something like that if they want like the fun,
just like chill vibes
together. Like Mari is like a proper example of like what a Tamil movie is
with good songs, great songs,
great actor, and like you know what I mean. And the girl is like, anyways, her character is so interesting. Yeah. It's so
she's not a traditional hero.
Yes, exactly, which is why I love it. Also Vikram Vedha, but you know, I just feel like you need to
understand the tropes to be able to get into that.
And it's like Vikram and Betal, like if you know that, like it just makes, there's a lot of symbolism there that you have to give them a little bit of like also what I don't like is like movies that have a 2-minute long exposition cartoon thing to understand where you are before it. I'm like, let's just get into it.
Is that what they did? Vikram Vedha did it? Yeah.
Because they were like explaining Vikram and Vedal, which is like the king who has a ghost.
Yeah, or right.
Which makes sense. So that's also why it's like good to show people if they don't know it. But I would rather show them something first that doesn't have that exposition.
Yeah, makes sense.
For Telugu, it's hard. I mean, I'd say Mantha Madhu.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. But if it wasn't Mantha Madhu, I would probably say, wow, there's a lot of Telugu movies I love. Mahanati. I'm sorry. It's so good. And it also shows like
in Telugu.
History in Telugu. It shows the history of Telugu cinema. Because it's like, it's exact. You know, they've remade it.
Of course.
It's so beautiful. It shows us so much. Yeah. So I would say that movie. It's one of my faves.
Nice.
And then what other Malayalam? I would say Premam.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. You know, and it's not too intense. It's sweet, but it's also so real. Right. The music is so good. Side by all the actors, and even Polly, like all of them are brilliant. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I know.
That's all you know. Awesome. And then, again, still staying on the movie topic.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's like
for sure.
Actor, actresses. Who did you look up to?
Actresses.
As in like who's...
Oh. Sorry, I thought it was like this or this.
That was like, could be actors or actresses, right?
Tabu.
Okay.
Shabana Azmi, Vidya Balan, Kumkara Sen Sharma, Kareena Kapoor, Shreya Rai, Deepika, obviously. Like, honestly, but I really like gravitated towards people like Vaijayanti Mala, Smita Patil, like even Silk Smita, like the old school heroines just had this kind of expression that's just so effortless and like all here that I'm like really, really inspired by.
In some way, they just did them.
Yeah.
Like more than even like actresses in the last like 20 years, not recently.
For
They
sure.
did themselves and just lived them more than like the more recent ones.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the roles back then were a bit meatier. They had like more to give.
Yeah.
Amitabh Bachchan,
Of course.
Dhanush, Vijay Sethupathi.
Yeah.
Like I love Pawan Kalyan.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so powerful.
Nice.
Yeah, Junior NTR is also great.
Yeah.
I never really like growing up. I never really like had Bollywood boy crushes. I thought Shah Rukh Khan was my dad for the longest time because like I grew up watching him, so like he's like dad to me.
Yeah.
But he's amazing, and I love him, and I will ride for him and watch any movie he does, and scream because it's Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah.
But I think for me it was always the actresses that I liked more, and I always liked the weird movies. Like there's this movie, not weird movies, but indie movies. There's this movie called Mr. and Mrs. Iyer.
Okay.
I think Mr. and Mrs. Iyer.
Bollywood movie?
Yeah, no. Hindi.
Okay, Hindi.
But it's more indie.
Okay.
It has Konkana Sen Sharma in it.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's so good. I remember watching that as a kid. It was a very disturbing movie to watch as a kid, but I remember watching it and being like, I want to act like her. Like she is so good and captivating and brilliant.
Right.
And there's so many actors and actresses like that I really resonate with, but Vidya Balan was a nut again. Like The Dirty Picture. Please. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do wish the Silksmith reincarnate was someone with darker skin. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But I think Vidya was amazing. She's amazing. Kahani, just anything she does. Yeah. She was even amazing in Hey Baby. Okay? Not hard.
Right.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
But she did it. She's my queen.
She's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay, now let's get to dancing.
Okay.
What is your favorite song that you ever danced for?
That I've ever danced for ever period in my life?
Yeah.
It's hard. Probably My Varnam, Sarojakshi by the Tanjore Quartet. Talam Rupaka. It's such a fun dance and it's so beautiful. And also I love Kanchadalayadakshi, Kamakshi. Yeah. I mean, like Bollywood songs are all fun to dance to, you know, but there's something about like connecting with the lyrics and like a Devi or a Shiva dance really
just brings the soul out.
Yeah. Right. It really, really excites me. So Kancha Dalayalakshi is so, so fun. Yeah.
Nice. Incredible. Okay. And then last question is, now that you live in New York.
Yes.
Right. And you're here and there's Times Square. So question is, if you could put anything you wanted on a billboard that everyone would see every single day.
Yeah.
What would it be?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, let me think. Honestly, like I want to say something deep like love yourself, follow your dreams. But truthfully, if I could do anything, it would be like my campaign with Ferragamo.
You've done?
No, I'm manifesting.
I'm manifesting. Yeah.
Let's
do it.
My campaign, like my perfume campaign where it's just like, you know, like some weird position where the perfume's near me and it's just like the hair is like Rapunzeling and it's like 70s. Like that's the dream. The dream is to have a high fashion campaign all over New York City.
That's incredible.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
I can't lie and say that's not the case.
Yeah. Soon.
Yeah.
Soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And excited to kick things off actually literally 2 weeks from now.
I know. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. And I'm so excited to see you guys there. I know we're going to have the best time. And you can tell us how you feel IRL.
Yeah, absolutely.
On April 3rd.
And if you're going to come and if you watch this, watch Month of Madhu and come to the workshop and tell us what you
ask us the questions. We'll have chits. We'll write them down.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. I'll be there when we're checking people in. Yeah. We'll like write down, okay, what,
in between
you have a question?
Him checking people in and doing his first out of views ever.
Oh, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. We'll do it.
You have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Your dad would be proud.
My dad would be proud.
Yeah.
I'm the Bharatanatyam dancer he wish he Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
It's so funny.
Nice. Let's do it. Well, welcome to the show again. And thank you for spending the time. And I'm sure we'll have you back.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more stories to be told.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And arrambam forever. I'm here whenever you need me.
Let's do it. Cool. Peace.